Okay, so quick rundown of Nearpod. The first thing that you'll want to do is make your content slides. So these are going to be the slides that are strictly for getting information to your students. You'll probably want to make those in a separate program. I'm using Keynote right now, of course, PowerPoint. Making the content slides in Nearpod really limits you on on how you can make those look and sort of your creativity. So I have Keynote open right now. Of course, you're just going to make your content slides. This is a content slide. Like I said in class, Keynote, any Mac program is typically going to be a little more visual than what you can do on a PC. So, just you make your slides however you want to make them, adding whatever colors you need. Let's bring in a couple of slides here. Now, the thing is, while you're making your slides, you kind of want to think about, okay, where am I going to put activity slides? Nearpod calls those slides, those questions, those quizzes, the drawings that we were doing in class, those are called activity slides. So I would be thinking as I'm making my Keynote, my PowerPoint, where am I going to want to put some activity slides? And then, you would make your slides accordingly to that. Maybe you need to post a question on a slide first and then get to it. Okay, so if I have my presentation ready, I'm going to save it, but Nearpod does not recognize Keynote files, so I would need to save this as a PowerPoint file. So if I just go up here to File, I'm going to go to Export To, and there's PowerPoint. So even though PowerPoint is not a Mac program, they've still made it where they can kind of intermingle. So I'm going to click PowerPoint. Next, I'm going to give it a name. This is Nearpod example for tech class. And I'm going to save it on my desktop so it's in a nice easy spot that I can go grab whenever I'm done saving. So I click export. It just changed that Keynote file into a PowerPoint file. This is asking me if I want to save. I can save, but if you save it, it's going to be saved in a Keynote file. Since I just saved it as a PowerPoint, I'm going to go ahead and click cancel. I don't need it. Sorry, I'm going to hit don't save. There we go. Okay, so now here's my Keynote that is now a PowerPoint file. Okay, I'm going to open up Safari and I'm going to log into Nearpod. Now I just logged into Nearpod. Here you have some choices. You can explore, like we talked about in class, you can explore and see Nearpods that other people have made. There are some free ones, but a good chunk of those are going to be ones that you have to pay for. I'm going to go to create. You can also go to my library and create that way as well. I'll just go ahead and do that. So I'll click my library. It loads up all of my Nearpods that I have. Okay. Now I have some free ones in here that I got through a grant regarding digital citizenship. That's what some of these are. I'm going to hit new. If I would have hit the create tab on the last page, this is where it would have taken me to. I'm going to create a new lesson. Okay, right now I don't have anything. So all I'm going to do now is kind of move this window over and I'm going to grab that PowerPoint I just made using Keynote. I'm just going to click it and drag it in. There is a limit on how many slides you can use, but I've only hit that limit once. It's when I was trying to do 30 or 40 slides for something, a PD opportunity I was doing. So that's really not a big deal that you need to worry about. Okay, click OK. Now here's my slides I just made in Keynote / PowerPoint. These can all be moved around. Let me unclick here. There we go. They can be moved around and changed. Okay. Now I'm going to bring in those slides, those engagement slides, what they call activity slides. So I can just click add a slide here or here, it doesn't matter. I'm going to click activity right here on the far right. Now these were what I was using in class. Here's open-ended question, a poll, a quiz. Here's the draw it that we did. Fill in the blanks. Okay, I just tried to fill in the blanks. That's a premium feature, so that's something you'd have to pay for. That's why I've never used it. Memory test, I'm assuming, is a premium. Yeah, it's a premium feature too. These are the main ones that I've always used, and they're all completely free. So open-ended question. Let's say that my PowerPoint that I just made is about Lewis and Clark, and I decide that I'm going to have this activity slide after my second slide. And so after my second slide, I'm going to ask a question. What city did Lewis and Clark depart from? If I want to, I can add what they call a little reference image. We were talking about this in class. I can do a Google search. I can also upload from my Google Drive or from my computer itself. I'm just going to search for Lewis and Clark and see what we come up with. And I'm going to go ahead and put that picture in. I click save. And my question's there. And now here's my open-ended question. So you can see the picture isn't as small as I was thinking. It's a decent size. I'm going to put that one there. And now I'm going to add another slide. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add a slide where I would want my students to draw the route that Lewis and Clark took. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over and open up a new tab. Now I didn't do this in class, so here's a new item for you. I'm just going to do a Google search, and I'm going to type in blank United States map. Okay, I'll go to images here, and I'll take this one. I'm going to go ahead and save this to my desktop. Save image as. I'm going to put that in my desktop. I'll give it a good name, blank map. Save. Okay. So I'm going to add a draw it activity slide, which is similar to what we did in class, except in class you weren't really drawing on anything. You were just drawing on a blank sheet. So I'm going to add this slide. I'm going to add an activity, and I'm going to make it a draw it. Okay, right there it says drag your image or PDF here. So again, I'm just going to move this out of the way. I'm going to grab my blank map and just drag it in. I'm going to click save. It uploads it. So now this slide, this activity slide, is a draw it slide. You can see the little pencil there and the words draw it. So let's say that I want that right there. And then finally, I'm just going to do one more activity slide. We'll do a poll. Do you think Lewis and Clark are United States heroes? Yes, no, I'm not sure. Okay, so you can add answers if you want to. Again, I could add a reference image. I'll do Lewis and Clark again. This time I'll put in this one. And I'm going to save. Okay, so I think you get the idea. These are all content slides, and those are my activity slides. Again, I can change these and put them wherever I want to put them. Nothing is set in stone until I hit create. So when I hit create, it's kind of like this thing gets laminated, and that's the only way that I can show it to my class is by creating it. They used to call it publishing, and now they're calling it creating. I'm going to give this a name, Mr. Birtles, Lewis and Clark lesson. I do have to assign a grade. We'll say 4th grade. I do have to assign a subject, social studies. And create. Okay. Now it's going to take me back to my library. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you how you would launch this to your students. Now, like I said in class, the best way to do this is with the iPad. You download the free Nearpod app. They would simply tap that app on their iPad, and they could put that pin straight into the iPad. But since I'm doing this on a laptop, we'll just make do here. Okay, so what I would do is either on my iPad, so again, the teacher could have an iPad too. You would just log into Nearpod first. You would have all of your slides there, just like they are here. And I would just hover over this, and I'm going to click. Really, I have two options. This is that homework option I was talking about, where students could go through it at their own pace. Here, I'm just going to do a live session like we did in class tonight. I'm going to click live session. From here, it's pretty self-explanatory. Here's the pin. So what I would typically do is write this up on the board. You know, as I'm getting iPads or tablets passed out or whatever, I would say we're going to use Nearpod today. Here's our pin. After you do this with your students a couple times, it becomes very, very simple. So TAVXF. The important thing is this is just a temporary pin. So if I close out, the school day's over, I come back the next day, I launch this again, it'll be a totally different pin. It's just kind of a temporary thing to get my students in. I'm going to open up a new tab. So if your students were either on a laptop or on their tablet, this is kind of what they would see. They do not need to sign in, they just need to enter that pin. So TAVXF, it automatically puts it in capital letters, TAVXF. I click go. So they would all be logging in, all 20-something students, whatever it would be. And no, I don't want to leave this presentation. This is what I wanted right here, this arrow. This is typically the first screen you'll see. It says waiting for students to sign in, so I'm going to type in my name. I hit send. Now what I'm going to be doing here is kind of confusing. I'm going to be flipping back and forth between what the teacher would see on their iPad and then what the students would see. So again, here's what you would see on your teacher iPad. James Birtles is logged in. I can come down here to the bottom and get a preview of what my slideshow is. Okay, I can even skip if I decide I don't want to show this slide anymore. I want to skip right to the question. I can click and drag this up, and then this is what the students are going to be seeing on their iPad. What city did Lewis and Clark depart from? They left from St. Louis. I click send. I can't really do anything until my teacher tells me I'm ready to move on. So back on my teacher website or my teacher device, here's what I see. I can then share that with the class. Of course, you're going to have 20-something students. You'll see all their answers and all their shares. Okay. I click next. On your iPad, you would just swipe, take your hand and swipe across the screen. It's going to automatically swipe and change the content for the students. Here's another feature I did not show in class. Nearpod just launched a feature called On the Fly. Let's pretend like I'm going through my presentation and I decide I want to ask my students a question that I did not put in my original design. I come up here to the top. I can ask them a quick question. What is the name of the Native American? Native should probably be capitalized too. This is a very raw video. Native American that helped Lewis and Clark on their journey. I'm going to add another image. No, I'm not going to do that. Okay. I click share. This automatically throws that question in for my students. Bam, there it is. So I did not show you in class. That's called On the Fly that you can add. Here's some reports. That will send a report to whatever email address you're using for Nearpod. Okay. I'm not sure. I know it's Sacagawea, but I know I'm going to mess up the spelling, and Mr. Downs would probably not appreciate that. So I'm just going to say I'm not sure. I click send, and there we go. I could share that answer if I wanted to. Okay. I'm going to end that on the fly activity that I just did, and now we're back to our slides. Now here's the drawing. There's the map I uploaded. Okay. So whereas you guys just drew on a blank sheet, you can upload these, anything that you want to really, and they could pick their color and they could draw, of course, on the iPad. It's a lot easier. That is really it, folks. I mean, if you just really get in there and kind of try it out, I think that you'll find it's pretty simple. Here's that last quiz. You can see what people said. You can see James Birtles answered yes to question A. 100% of the class got it right because there's only one student. So that is it. That's Nearpod. I hope that you find this video beneficial, and if you have any questions, let me know. Again, everything I showed you today was just the free version. Keep in mind, with the paid version, you could do the 3D not augmented reality, but the virtual reality that we did today in class, and also you can add videos and websites.